as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining me on Stockbox today is the co-founder and executive chairman of Coinsilium, and that is Malcolm Palle. Hi, Malcolm.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you? Happy New Year, by the way, as well.
Thank you very much. Same to you. Yes, all good here. Usual COVID stuff going on, but we just keep our head down and get on with the work because it's that it's a good time for this now.
Yes. Okay. So it's a new year, and there's been some changes with Coinsilium. You started the company as an investor in blockchain startups, and of course the company has pivoted recently and changed their strategy from being investors in the blockchain startups to that of a blockchain and crypto venture operator. So yeah, can you tell us why you decided to make that pivot and what the company's doing?
Yeah, well, we announced this pivot in this summer, back into the summer, because ultimately, as you quite rightly say, our original strategy was to invest in startups, and we've done that sort of effectively from our launch. And when you operate in that space, startups is probably the highest risk area, but you hope that you're going to pick some good ones. And we've had I think two standout investments that are in this sector. One was RSK, which has since gone on to become a one of the most significant or more significant, shall we say, blockchain protocols, and Endorse, of course, which is we helped incubate them. We helped them with their token sale, and we've also developed them as a kind of recruitment tech company, which has got meaningful revenues. The one issue with that approach is obviously you need scale, because an investor is always valued at a discount or usually valued at a discount to the value of its investments. Mm-hmm. But that sort of issue is heightened when you're dealing with startups, because these wonderful accountants that listed companies have to use, and they are good because they do an incredibly challenging job to actually keep the transparency and the compliance, is that there are rules on how startups and sort of early stage companies can be valued, because otherwise people will just go and stick a number on them and say, we think our company's worth 100 million. But of course, as an example, Endorse, can only be valued at the valuation of the last round. So if whatever we think it's worth and what we believe it could be worth in terms of the industry, we're restricted on what we can actually say. So, the value of our portfolio is always going to be challenging, or getting what we believe a meaningful representation for the value of our portfolio on the market is going to be a challenge. So we kind of looked at that, and we also done quite well over the period in terms of the advisory work we've done. So we've never really gone to the market cap in hand, and never needed to. We've always sort of washed our face, paid our way, and the growth would only come from the investments. So going forward, we thought, we came to the strategic decision that a lot of the startups that come to us with ideas, we can evaluate whether they're good ideas or not, or they're good models, and whether they're worth investing in. But in some cases, we think, well, yeah, there's something there, but we could probably do it better ourselves, because we've got all the connections and the contacts that would be needed, and we also got the experience and the of actually building a business. So we sort of looked at that, and we decided that with the whole new wave of decentralized and open finance coming along, and our kind of involvement as a company from the very start of it, particularly with our connections with RSK, we felt that there was a better opportunity for us to actually sort of create our own ventures, and that's really what we've done, because we will then look to be valued on the basis of the enterprise value of our business, as in what we can develop, where we own projects 100% or possibly in partnership with a strategic partner who brings something to the table as well. And rather than a discount on an investment that, whilst it still bolsters our balance sheet to a degree, it's still going to be sort of less than, in a lot of cases, what we think it could be worth. So it's a more strategic decision. I hope that answers the question.
It does. And I mean, Coinsilium, from what I know about the company, you've always been early mover in sort of new spaces, and it's a big move for Coinsilium. And of course, there's these new terms that we're learning from you: decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens, NFTs, for example. And it always takes a little bit of time for investors to perhaps get their head around these new things. But as I say, Coin have usually been at the forefront and early movers in this space. But where do you see the NFT? That's the non-fungible token market. Where do you see it? How do you see it's going to deliver returns for investors?
Yeah, well, that's the next thing. We the first kind of iteration of this new model is that we've identified the market for non-fungible tokens, which is kind of the terminology that's used in the space, which everyone understands. But reality is it's the ability to create a token that cannot be immediately swapped for another token. So as one Bitcoin, if you own a Bitcoin and I own a Bitcoin, they're both kind of worth the same. And but a non-fungible token would be unique. So what you can do with that is getting quite interesting, because what we've seen, and don't forget, being so sort of having such a great vantage point that we have with our relationships with leaders in the industry, we can see this coming down the track. So the uses for non-fungible tokens are potential use cases are incredible. We've announced an agreement to produce a crypto stamp, which will effectively be a collectible, and that's with Gibraltar, with the Gibraltar Philatelic Bureau, who effectively the agency for the government who issue all these sort of commemorative stamps. So there will be connected with that a non-fungible token, which will be a digital representation of that stamp. And these things are happening. This might seem a little bit sort of niche and sort of obscure, perhaps, to the uninitiated, but the Austrian Post Office has gone down this route. And what's become apparent is that there's a lot of a whole new breed of collectors who look at collecting digital assets. So a non-fungible token can represent a digital asset, and in this case, we'll be creating a marketplace for trading those digital assets. So we see this as a great starting point for us, because when you start a new project or a new venture, you want to be able to manage as many of the factors in your orbit as possible. The biggest mistakes that companies make is when they try to sort of wrap their arms around the world, should we say, and they find it's too big for them. And we're starting this with a very in a controlled way, but it's still a sort of a meaningful market. And if we make this work, then it'll create some meaningful revenues, because the market that the marketplace we'll be creating with our partners in Vietnam, the Red Fox Labs, they will be designing they will be producing the non-fungible token for us. That will be tradable on a marketplace, and these things already trade. I mean, crypto stamps issued by the Austrian Post are already sold out in no time at all, in about 3 hours, and right. They trade in these secondary markets. So it's a lovely little niche for us to actually sort of get involved in. We researched it for a while, but in the meantime, we are evaluating various other markets and having meaningful conversations with other parties, because we don't just want to stop with stamps. If we can actually this is a bit of a land grab at the moment. Notice that there's quite a lot going on. and it covering sports, covering music. If you think about the potential for collectibles in that area, they're huge markets. But again, this is just one area and one function for non-fungible tokens. When you talk about digitizing an asset, there's no limit to what you can do with that. So we're very excited about moving in this space. And of course, we don't, we can make our own decisions how we do this, because we're not sort of investing in another company that's doing this and we get excited about. We know how to pull this together, and we've got some. We believe that we'll be able to turn this sort of into a very significant division for the company as a whole.
Okay, so this project you're doing with the Gibraltar postage stamp, is that just the start then of Coinsilium getting involved in the non-fungible token space?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the start of our venture into collectibles. The collectibles we can cherry pick. We've seen. I mean, just an example. There was a series of non-fungible tokens issued by the NBA, the National Basketball Association, US, for their fans, and that's enormous. We don't want to sort of just issue a stamp and then move on to someone else. We want to see what we can get out of that stamp market, and how we can develop a product that is going to be highly collectible and highly valuable. So that will be what drives the market as well. And obviously, we've got a unique relationship in Gibraltar because our company's core operations are here. We know all the people we need to here, so it's much easier to do business in a place where you actually got established relationships. So that's key.
So are you actually going to be creating the marketplace for this as well?
Well, the marketplace is already kind of run on existing platforms. What we do is we sort of we make a bespoke market within the platform. So we bring the product, which is the non-fungible token, with Red Fox. They'll design and set it up, and it will be a Gibraltar kind of marketplace. And then that will be the venue where everyone goes to. But because we are the operatives of it, we are the owners, if you well, we aren't actually technically the owners. The owners are is the open source or so it'll be Atomic Hub in this case. But we sort of we have the concession for these products that we bring in, and that gives us a revenue share of all transactions that occur on there.
Okay, right, yeah. So the revenue comes from the transactions of the NFTs. Yeah.
The trading, the initial sale of the NFTs as well, which will be the first point. People will buy them to start with. So we will we will get revenues from the sale, and that's that would probably be significant. And then there's ongoing revenues for every time a NFT is traded.
Okay, so you've partnered with Iov Labs. Iov Labs hold 13.9% of Coinsilium, and you're also a director of Iov Labs. So can you tell us more about the relationship with Coinsilium?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's a little complex. So probably a lot of investors haven't really sort of made too many deductive conclusions, or use deductive logic to actually to work out the significance of that. And we don't make a huge thing of it, but I'm happy to explain and elaborate. So in 2016, just after we listed, we made a small investment in Iov Labs, which was at the time Rootstock. They were called Rootstock. They were developing a protocol which was going to bring smart contract and effectively Ethereum style functionality to the Bitcoin blockchain. And they then subsequently went on to do a token sale, and we helped them with the token sale in the sense that we introduced them to Gibraltar, which is where they're based, and it was one of the most significant token sales of that time. And they invited me to join the board because we're sort of there from the outset, and we've known the founders for an awful long time. So I'm sort of straddled both parts, but the token sale that they achieved has funded them to roll out the technology on a global basis. As the market's developed over the last 3 years, we've kind of developed a relationship where we want to exploit the synergies between Coinsilium and Iov. The key was that we had this very substantial company that wants us to work closely with them, and we want to work closely with them because we're strong believers in their technology. And it transpired that in January last year, they took an investment in Coinsilium, which was to kind of underpin a joint venture agreement, which we wanted to form with them, which would be to promote their technology. So they're using our know-how, their funds, and their sort of technology would go into this joint venture company. So this unfortunately took a little longer to finalise due to COVID and the logistics, but nonetheless it didn't stop them making that investment initially for I think about 9 million shares at 2.65 pence, and they subsequently did a follow-on investment in December for 11 million shares, which takes them to about just over 20 million shares, more or less 13.9% of the company, which kind of solidifies the relationship. And they also have the right to appoint a director to the board. So I think, if there's obviously, being a director of both companies, I'm very restricted in what I can say, but I think investors at this stage can perhaps, be using deductive logic to make some assumptions, and I don't think they'll be far off, just on the basis that the company will be and is very close with Iov Labs, and it's a tremendous benefit for us to have such a strong, supportive, well-funded company that understands our business, and we understand theirs, and we can go out and commercialize the technology.
And what can investors expect, Malcolm, from Coinsilium in the coming weeks and months?
Right. Well, we've got a really busy. I mean, we can see sort of a lot of the things we're doing. We're going to be very busy probably for the whole year. But the most imminent things I think are going to be updates on the crypto stamp. Once we've finalised the design, the structure, and everything else that we need to do on both the physical and the crypto side. So we'll be putting out regular updates, which will be as much to the market as they will be to the crypto or the collectibles communities around the world, so they can know where to buy the stamp, when to buy it, how much, and how much it's going to be, and various other aspects to how the NFT will function. So there'll be updates going on that side. We also, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at other markets as well, and we're having meaningful conversations with parties as we sort of evaluate what will be the next market that we go into for NFTs, and we want to make sure that it's a meaningful one. Again, and those I envisage within the next 3 months, we should be able to talk about the next NFT venture that we're going to be working on. And then, yes, we've probably got some developments with the joint venture with Iov Labs, which would be, I think, quite interesting, and will give a lot more perspective as to, how that's going to create value as well, and maybe some surprises between now and then. And depending on how the portfolio, the treasury position works with crypto, then we'll be putting out regular updates on our crypto treasury position as well. So it's a very exciting time for the company, and looking forward to this year, and hopefully we'll be able to give you some good news pretty soon.
Okay, Malcolm. Well, just a final thought, and today being Monday, the start of the week, and of course Bitcoin. It was on the BBC News. Most people will know about this. Bitcoin breaking new highs at $34,000 before falling back sharply, albeit about 12%. But it's obviously starting the year exceptionally well. So it seems like there's definitely a bull market going on. So what are the main drivers behind this, do you think, and how does Coinsilium directly benefit from the crypto bull market?
Well, I mean, look, this is the right time to have this kind of conversation because in the 6.5 years I've been involved in this space, I've not seen anything as strong as this in terms of market performance. And there's a whole combination of factors that come together to create what appears to be a perfect storm. Now, that being the money printing that is occurring, then the promise of more money printing down the road, the amount of sort of established investors that are coming out and being, rather than being sort of shy about their crypto investments, are actually making a big deal of it. Companies are allocating an amount of their treasury in there, but there is overall a tremendous shortage of Bitcoin, believe it or not, because what's happened recently as well is PayPal have come into the market, and they're only operating in the US, but they're taking a huge proportion of the actual Bitcoin that's being produced. And so we've got a restricted supply, we've got existing holders, we've got huge pent-up demand. And that is what's creating these huge waves of growth. And in our view, it's only just getting started. Coinsilium benefits in many ways. I mean, firstly, we hold Bitcoin. We have a treasury position, and we hold other highly liquid cryptos which benefit from this, and we actively manage it. We managed to double the value of our treasury holdings, more or less, from August till December. Importantly, I think this is going to become much more apparent going forward, is that the economies are going to split into those who accept traditional money in payment for the works they do, and those who accept cryptocurrencies. And we are already sort of refining our model for particularly our first venture in the NFT market, which, these NFTs are traded in cryptocurrencies and they're bought in cryptocurrency. So we will be generating a cryptocurrency revenue stream, and we will be earning money in crypto, which will be convertible into Bitcoin. We can automate the process as much as we can. So that might not sort of, resonate too clearly with the market now, but I give us 2 or 3 months when people start sort of the penny drops there. The fact that when we go out and invoice, we don't, we've always invoiced for a lot of our advisory work in crypto, and that will continue. But when we start generating crypto denominated revenues from a business operation, I think that that's when the penny will drop with the market.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Malcolm Palle, the co-founder and executive chairman of Coinsilium, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.